Well, salutations. Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, Smite fans. Welcome back to the SCC. We got the NA side of things for week 4, day 1. Tyrian Weavers and the Kaolin Wardens here. I am Supersonic Blur, and joining me for this set here is none other than Spooky.
How we doing here, Blur? I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here for this set. It's going to be, honestly, a banger of the weekend, I think. We got two teams, both having a little bit of struggles in their season so far, both sitting at a 1-2 score overall. But though you may look at that and think, oh, well, these are weaker teams, that's not the case. Both these teams are struggling to separate themselves from each other at this point. Whoever gets a leg up here can confidently say, we are the better team. We are a cut above the bottom half of this season so far. And it's a really doozy of a team to go against. You got Panda Cat, Not Gino, Ogriff on one side, Brave, who we've seen many times so far, Ramakami, some powerhouses in the scene. I'm expecting it to be quite the clash.
Well, this is going to be on the Conquest map. We ain't playing Clash here, you know.
I hope
this isn't
not.
your casuals. I hope not as well. And speaking of Conquest games, don't forget we got picks and bans for that. So let's go ahead and jump on into that for game 1 between these two teams here. Tyrian Weavers are going to be on the order side of things here. And as this sort of meta's shaped up and things, we've got into that sort of regular point of these are the common bans. The question is, are there now flex bans or bans that you have to think about? Do we let these through?
I mean, there's always things that you want to consider letting through so that you can pick them for yourselves. Now, in this case, it's really more the Wardens who are considering that right now. They have the second pick, so if they let a few good things through, Tyrian Weavers, yeah, they're going to get one, and they'll probably take whatever they think is the best one. But the Wardens get their pick of the next best 2 at that point. You can see there's some of these bans maybe not what you expected. Sure, Aphrodite, yes. Hercules still on the board. Vomit still on the board. Guan Yu, all those solo laners haven't been looked at just yet. And if I'm the Wardens, I'm not touching probably a single one of them until the very last ban there. Save it until you know everything that the Weavers are doing, and then maybe take away the Vomit, because so far that's been an incredibly prominent threat in the scene, who has a flex potential towards that solo lane and the jungle. Hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Always feels good, and then you can pick up either the Guan Yu or the Hercules, whichever is left open. And in fact, it is Guan and Bomb and Band away. Leaves Hercules up. Weavers could go for it here, or perhaps the Hell. It also hasn't been banned yet.
And we did see earlier today as well the option of running this Hell mid, but you mentioned about things that get left up. Martichorus is a god who's been floating around the bans, hiding in that tall grass, just waiting to be picked up. And every time we've seen them, I can't say they've ever looked bad.
No, it's just a strong pick overall. It's got very good burst damage, good safety, has some good utility. The anti-heal in specific is a very important part of that kit. Not necessarily to the overall strength of the kit, but in the current meta, where healers are such prominent factors, you can see the Wardens go right to Terra and Hercules, known for their sustain. Artigris, being able to effectively and easily apply the anti-heal, is crucial to the Weavers having good team fights. And we've seen this piloted before by the Weavers. It's by no means a new pick, and neither is that.
There's one.
Neither is that one. That's the Sylvanas again.
That's quite a fun one. I like Sylvanas, but then again, I played Sylvanas when he first came out, and so have fond memories from that. And you're pairing that up with an Ishtar. I don't know how you pick a duo lane that has more clear than that. My brain's thinking like Neith Kepri, and that might just match them at this point.
Yeah, at this point, probably not out clearing that duo lane. You can still go for that Kernonos, who you do see gets hovered and locked in there. With the Terra also on the Warden side, you're not going to be doing anything about the pressure that the Weavers have. But here's the thing. That pressure will last for a little bit. But once these supports start rotating, Kernonos is the next best ADC. I won't even say the next best, right? He's pretty much even right there with the Ishtar. Here's Ishtar, here's Kernonos. Neither is above each other, if you see that.
Yeah. It's gonna come down to someone else coming in and giving him a leg up, i.e. a gank for something. But as we make our way into that second phase of bans, I'm interested in the Wardens here. They're banning away Nox, but there's a Sylvanas pickup. They don't think that's going support? I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen anyone running Sylvanas solo. And to be fair, that was at Araxia when the team literally forgot they'd already picked their support.
Well, I think this is just covering their bases a little bit. They may have some insight onto Tripno's picks. Maybe he's been taking the Nox into mid as well. Maybe they're worried about a Nox going into the solo lane as well. Lots of flex potential. And when someone locks in the Sylvanas in their top 3, there's always a little bit of a question there. It's like, okay, these guys are confident in this pick. Are they going to be doing something traditional, or are they going to be trying to cheat us? Are they going with some Sylvanas jungle with the mannequins that's just going to insta-burst us in the late game? Probably not. I would still put my eggs... I wouldn't mind seeing it. I think it would be a little bit difficult to get there in this setting. But if you can pull it off, hey, it's always a blast to watch. I think it is more likely to be in that traditional support role. Artigris going to that mid lane so far. And you see that's where the Weavers put their attention as well. Banning out the Agni, the Janus, and leaving this Toth available. These are some interesting mids being looked at right now. The Janus is something that Pandacat has been seen on before. The Toth, maybe unorthodox, maybe unconventional, but you can't deny it has excellent range, and it pairs with this Kronos, with this Terra very well. You can very easily proc the Terra ultimate using this Toth. And if you just have the safety to stay away from this Marty, I don't hate it at all.
Well, now as well, on top of that, look at what the Tyrian Weavers go ahead and bring themselves in. Horus, Bakasora, these are some fantastic options to go ahead and get the party started with that Into the Skies and Regurgitate. No Sylvanas jungle. It may be Horus support, Bakasora solo, Sylvanas jungle. Don't count it out just yet. It could happen. I think, though, on the other side of things, looking at it, Wardens, they've got their draft. It's fairly obvious where these gods are going, but they've still got a good look for them. And now, you mentioned Thoth, good damage and long range for that. Perfect setup for it. Hey, Najar takes someone up, Thoth from anywhere in the map, just aim at them, and you'll get a kill out of that.
Yeah, this is an excellent pick to facilitate this Toth. And looking over at it, you know, you look at the Weavers, you're like, oh, well, there's a lot of CC immunity there. There's a lot of safety there. But look at all the ways the Wardens have to burn those beads. Kernanos can do it. Hercules will do it very easily and very frequently. Terra can do it. They have so many ways to force those beads out to set up for the Windfire wheels. This would look like a nasty draft from the Wardens right now.
It really does. Everyone better be getting that clip of F. saying, you don't have beads ready. It's a battle of the beads burners here in game number 1. Let's go ahead and get on into that. Tyrian Weavers and the Kaolin Wardens both looking to go ahead and get a crucial win to put them at parity for this. And oh my goodness, it's not a solo Sylvanas. It's just a Sylvanas in the solo lane right now.
I promise. Just take a little bit of a look around the map, trying to see if they can scout something out. I don't hate this. I mean, just going to harass Relentless, I guess. Just going to walk over here. He is a tree. He's got the AoE basics.
There's still Invader's Curse, though, going on. I'm not sure what the plan is. He's going to go ahead and harass out, though, but Promise is taking way too much damage to survive this. He's getting body blocked out, and his health bar's low. This is a new start that I've not seen before.
Well, luckily for Promise, he doesn't get plucked back into Relentless one there. The Invader's Curse is actually what saved his life there, because he was too slow to reach the end of the pluck in order to be knocked back. So he gets to limp away. What this has done is it does give Remikami a slight advantage here. You can see Remikami is level 2. Relentless one still on his first level as well. If they can pressure that and leverage that to their advantage, could be a nice little boost to the Weavers early game. But unless Grave goes over there early, and I mean very early, like already there right now, it's not going to amount to a whole lot. Remikami, though, Bede's already forced out.
And there's with the shard as well. We might see Remakami look to do something similar. Already getting some pressure out here. A lot of damage put their way. And Remakami will beads as well. These two solo laners don't seem to be too worried about their beads right now.
I mean, Blur, you said it as we came in. It's a battle of the beads burning. And, well, beads have been getting burned here. 2 sets down so far on both teams here. Last one still taking the worst end. Short fuse!
It's coming in, but thankfully, there's enough work from Remakami there to hold it in place. Relentless One now splitting a little bit of farm here in this early stages of the game. We'll keep an eye on over this side in the duo lane where we're looking at the gold buff being contested at. Both these teams very much want to scrap on this one. Gino's popped the curse as well, but keep an eye around the back. Grave is making that rotation, and they've caught off Grip, and now it's a weird situation where it's a 2v1 on the support. And the 1v1 going down, but Griff backs up and is able to come back in for support for Gino.
A little bit unlucky there for the Wardens. Not Gino had the right idea. He was getting aggressive on that gold buff. But if you notice, he had placed the monolith down, and when he went to do the dash to break it, it was just an inch too short. He did not get the root, did not get the damaging field there. So they just didn't have the output in order to actually finish up those kills. Ends up being turned around onto them. But when all is said and done, it's still an even game state. No one has really fallen just yet. Sure, we've seen some relics being used across the map. Saw some on the right side, saw some on the left side. But that doesn't matter a whole lot if you can't secure the kill. And right now, everyone's happy to just keep on farming.
They certainly are, and things, and thankfully we have not missed any of the action and things. But with that said, we do need to go ahead and take a quick break, but don't go back. We've got this game coming underway as soon as we can. And we are back on in with Tyrian Weavers versus the Kaolin Wardens. Apologies for that short break. Hopefully, we'll be able to go ahead and get back on into this action here. Coming up to the 3-minute mark so far, Spooky. And as you mentioned, things have been aggressive, but look at where Tyrian Weavers are right now. They really want to keep Relentless One slightly less relentless.
Yeah, they can try, but I'm not sure how much success they'll have. We've seen this kind of pressure put onto Relentless One before. We've seen Relentless One fall behind in the lane. He lives up to his name, Blur. He is relentless, regardless of his slash line, regardless of the levels. If you give him an inch, he will create a mile of space with it for his team. I'm not sure that focusing this solo lane is really going to be what gives the Weavers the payout they're looking for. If you're asking me, I think focusing down PCAT on this Toth in the mid lane would be a much easier job. Much more vulnerable, dies a lot faster, doesn't have CC on top of mobility, Gino.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming through. Just about gets away. Will there be enough tick damage to go for them? No, it's the answer. They will get to live another day, but now Promise may be trouble.
Wow.
And so one more basic attack is all it takes. Griff picks up first blood. Might be looking for a double fire wheels. Just juked out by Hydrogen.
No.
And one basic attack again, but this time not so lucky. Still first blood, though, for this Kernanos.
Absolute tragedy for short fuse on that one. Masterful backstep from Hydrogen. Should have been dead to rights on that Ishtar, but good footwork will keep you alive. It's a good fight for both sides there. Weavers just needed to focus Gino down a little bit faster. Or frankly, you know what? Maybe don't even focus Gino down there at all. 2 dashes can get you quite a ways over in that lane. Griff, not looked at pretty much at all during that fight, was able to just free throw all of his basics at Hydrogen and Promise. Promise did his job, took as many of them as he could for his ADC, but unfortunately took one too many for that same ADC. It does end up giving the Wardens slight lead here. Not much of a lead, but an advantage on the map. As one finishes his Caduceus club as well. That's going to be a little bit harder to take down over in that right side. Weavers probably lost their opportunity to focus this Hercules down. At this point, anything you're putting into him takes too much time for my liking when you try to go over there. Very durable, very mobile. Look at the map there. What is Gino doing? He's all the way over on this right side as well. They're looking for this blue buff. They got a 3-man rotation here.
Oh, and Ramakami wasn't aware of this, so just a beautiful combo. That should be all she wrote for it, and Short Fuse will grab it. Does not miss the second ult and makes good work of it. Tripno's now over this side of the map. The buff is already gone, though, and it's just too little too late. Grave was over the right-hand side and was warded out, so great work from the Kaolin Wardens there.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. The Wardens are a team that knows how to play this map. They're not going to just sit idly by. They were able to get themselves a first blood, okay. That gives them a little bit of momentum on the map. That makes them feel a little bit more comfortable putting that front foot forward. Take to the right side. Kill Ramakami. He's not nearly as hard to kill as Relentless One is right now. He's gone into the Golden Blade. No defensive stats there. I guess you could count movement speed as a defensive stat. I personally wouldn't, but you could make the argument. Either way, no health, no promise.
Taking a lot of damage at this point. Ults are forced from the Marty Chorus, and it is enough, so Short Fuse ends up falling. Now, though, with a great Protector Surge in, that puts Panda Cat in trouble. And so they will not evade, and they will be punished for that attempt of a gank there.
Now 2-2 on the scoreboard. Tyrian Weavers make that a 2-0 in the overall fight. Oh my goodness! Here we have yet another answer. Griff just keeps slinging those glaives all across this lane. So, Weavers still not able to find themselves too much of a lead here. Now, deficit isn't significant enough to be worried about. Relentless One needs to be worried about this rotation. Boulder comes out.
It's a big boulder for the CC immunity, but a great pushback, and look at this. He doesn't even care. He's getting run down, but unless there's some more movement speed in the tank or some CC, then we'll be able to grab it. So a little pickup there comes in handy for the Tyrian Weavers. But as you mentioned there, just Griff causing answers and posing questions at this point to Tyrian Weavers. You said that they want to fight Panda Cat. They get one gank on him. Is it now just a case of Grave having to play catch-up of get the lane that's behind ahead again?
I don't think so. I mean, yes, hi-rez is a little bit of a tough spot, but Ishtar has enough safety tools that he shouldn't really be getting soloed on cooldown in this lane. It's unfortunate that he did fall there to a solo kill, but now's the time where hi-rez just takes a step back, says, okay, this is the state of the game. I will hold my lane. I'll focus on the farm. You guys just play through where we're strong at. Tripno's got a kill. He's a great way to dive Panda Cat under the towers. You go into the death from above, and suddenly evade and punish isn't so evasive anymore. Got the good tools there in the mid lane to actually punish this Toth. The best thing for the Weavers to do is to utilize them. Get Tripno ahead, get him to a state where he can wander around this map, and then you can start looking over at that left side. Once Tripno's a little bit more effective, you're going to be able to burst this Kern down pretty easy. Oh my goodness!
That's a lot of damage. Great work coming through from Grave to catch the dash. And now they're looking to catch Short Fuse. Blink on through from Grave to try and follow it. Short Fuse does have ult, and he will expend it to get out of this one. But even so, we may be looking at a rotation towards the Gold Fury with these three members. Griff and not Gino are aware of this. And look at this. They're going to get forced away, but they're going to make it a little bit more hard for Tyrian Weavers to get away for free. And so it will end with just a gold buff.
I think that's absolutely the right call from the Weavers. Oh man, Grave gets his backstop by a roaming harpy. I can't believe he did it to him like that. But no, good on the Weavers for not trying to take too much there. Yes, there's a world where they could have gone to the Gold Fury. I think in that same world, they die to the collapse from Not Gino and Ogrif. Because when you're getting DPS'd by the Fury, and you've got a Hunter coming at you who's already 2-0, right? He hadn't backed quite yet. He's got the Execution online now. Wardens taking the front step. Look at the Toth! Oh,
it's a lot of damage, and the best secure on the map as it stands. Great pull back on through, though. Short Fuse has to be. Short Fuse ends up falling anyway. Meanwhile, trying to catch a rotation, Remakami falls to a solo laner kill. And as a result, this ends up as a 1-for-1 across the map. With that Gold Fury going down here 10 minutes in, the gold lead has started for the Kaolin Wardens, but they're looking to extend it a little further. Hydrogen thought members had backed, and guess what? They had not. He just made that wrong call.
Hey, you know what? The point still stands because Griff had Gino there, so it's not a solo kill. So he's not getting soloed on cooldown. Pyromancer being looked at by the Weavers, but presence from the Wardens does force them to drop. This is just where the Wardens are at right now. It's not a significant gold lead, but the pressure they are exerting, the simple fact that their presence makes the Weavers rethink what they're doing, because the game state is so even right now, because the Weavers can't really go anywhere. Yes, they're getting some picks, but those picks don't really matter in the long run because they're not finding an advantage off of it. Left tier 1 down on the map, and Weavers do manage to go back to the Pyromancer, get themselves something, but they're still down 2,000, and we're only in 11.5 minutes in.
We are. Could we just take a quick look at either the XP graph real quick? Because I got some bad news if you're a fan of Hunters. Both the duo lane for Tyrian Weavers, notice how they both have the same amount of XP per minute on the bottom left? Yeah, they're the same level, and that's level 9.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling, to say the least, and is perhaps made worse by the fact that on the other side, Griff is the top of the XP per minute on his team. Relentless One finds another onto Remakami. Blur, I tell you, Relentless One is like the rock for this team, and I'm not just talking about the Hercules boulder. Relentless One just consistently stands his ground no matter what the game looks like. you can always rely on him to just have this durable solo lane presence. If you need space, odds are Relentless One is going to find a way to create it for you. Now he's 2 levels up, and they just have so much pressure on both sides of the map. There's nowhere really good for the Weavers to go because they're losing on both ends right now. They have to find a way to actually get a lane ahead, and if Tripno is losing half his HP over the wall, things are looking a little bit more worrisome.
They may very well be, but keep an eye on Hydrogen. Big rotation in. Panda Cat will beat and buy enough space, but they're still going in. Hydrogen went for the ultimate. The rest of the team just not close enough to follow up off that, so Hydrogen backs up. The Mardi-Core Assault needs to find the shots and does, but now he's in a lot of trouble. Both relics expended to get away from this, but there's no rotation coming through. They're okay. Tripno could potentially turn this with the team coming around.
Oh my goodness, where are the rest of the Wardens? Gino, you're not where you should be!
This is a big turnaround potential. Promise picks up, not Gino. And now Short Fuse on the rotation back on through will end up getting Griff a double kill. A 3-for-2 trade out. Hydrogen now getting run on out by Short Fuse, looking to try and find the last that they can. But the CC chain holds them in place. Not today. Double kill and a 4-for-2.
That is a massive stun from the side of Short Fuse. Not only does it kill Hydrogen, it also prevents him from finding the shutdown onto Griff. All it took was one singular basic attack, and he just couldn't find it. Shout out to the Wardens for that collapse. Gino looked like he was up there by himself with no help in sight. This is SCC, baby. They got the comms. They know where they're at. He was just buying as much time as he needed for an excellent collapse. And frankly, he had as many lined up as he needed. He found a huge stun off those Terra walls, and now it's right back in the Warden's favor. It started off with aggression from the Weavers, but they just try to take a little bit too much. They go a little bit deeper than they needed to, don't have the full support on that dive. And so while Tripno's trying to find a way back out, he has to find that path by himself. Forces the rest of the Weavers to step up. They have to be making these plays in unison. If you're going to make the dive, the Weavers need to be diving as a team. Yes, Death from Above does make you immune. But what is this?
Yeah, we're looking at fire? Okay.
No.
Maybe a heat check here. Relentless One, though. Look how far forward they're going. They're going to grab 2 members. No one else ends up panicking for it. And look at this. So beautiful. Absolutely brilliant. May as well be playing Apollo as far as I'm concerned, Griff, because these calls, Kaolin Wardens sacrifice nothing and get everything for free.
Yeah, they've very handily extended their gold lead through the course of this game. And, it's been somewhat bloody. It is 17 kills on the board. But they're just playing the map so well. Oh, Wild Hunt.
There's a 5-level difference here. 4 levels now. Come on, one more range basic. Kaolin, though, do get the Pyromancer in the process. And Hydrogen takes the fight that they are not prepared to win. And now this could be a problem. Tripno does get some safety back towards the edge of the tower. Push out of the way of the final judgment. Relentless One, you cheeky solo laner, goes ahead and yoinks that kill for themselves. That is, hey, still got the kill, so it's all fine.
I'm not convinced the final judgment actually missed when I saw the burst of damage that came onto Tripno's health bar there. By all means, it should have. Relentless One pushed him right on out of it. But hey, you got that kind of damage, you're allowed to do that kind of thing. Now, the pressure's all on this mid lane. Weavers don't have much of an answer. This Sylvanas cannot stand up to the siege.
He may not be standing up at all at this point. We're going to see defensive Bakasura ults as they are pulled back on through, having to try and juke away from CC. And all that gives Panda Cat enough time to hieroglyphic assault them down. And now coming through as well with this Fury of the Terra Ultimate, they are able to keep on tapping away. Hydrogen makes the rotation in, gets a big mez on many of the members. They will jolt on through. Panda Cat's under a lot of trouble, but look at the turnaround. The team just surrounds and pounds every member of the Tyrian Weavers, and there is nowhere any of them can go. Health bars falling faster than I could even say.
Death from above, finding some value, but not enough. I think the Weavers have been routed here. Good gracious. Blur. The Wardens are just putting on a masterclass right now. Throughout the season so far, in the past 3 weeks, we have talked about how the Wardens seem to be struggling and not quite having the performance we've expected to see from this team. The Wardens have heard those complaints. They've heard those criticisms, and they've come to play with a new look here tonight. It just seems everything they're doing is pulling the Weavers exactly where they want them. Oh no, our health bars are low. I guess I'll retreat into this narrow jungle path. I sure hope there's not a Hercules on my team. Oh, what do you know? There's Hercules on his team. Pulls 2 back. Sets up for the hieroglyphic assault. The Weavers just cannot finish these kills. And now the gold lead has extended to about 9,000. Just under the 9,000 mark at 18 and a half minutes. That's crazy.
It is crazy, and the big thing as well is, I said Hydrogen makes a rotation, and it looks good for them as we see Wardens starting up this Fire Giant near uncontested. In fact, it will be. But it's the fact Hydrogen comes in off the side, huge, CC through everyone. Yeah, they're level 13 and don't have 3 items online. They got an Executioner and Devos. He's 14 now, sure, but he was level 12 when he started that fight.
Got 2 levels from it.
I think it was more the wave after he died. It might have got a level after Promise picked up a kill, but at 0-4 and 4, Hydrogen just cannot do anything this game here, and I think it's starting to become significantly noticeable.
Yeah, becoming significantly noticeable is a kind way of phrasing that, Blur. It's been noticeable for a little bit here. He's just not able to find any success right now, and frankly, he's going the right way for it. You know, he knows he's behind, not going for those crit items. Got the chin size, got the executioner. He's just looking to try to strike this front line down, because Relentless One has been such a relentless problem. Wardens are just sweeping across this map, taking every objective away. The Weavers truly don't have anywhere on the map that they can go to right now. This has now become a game of, okay, wait and see what the Wardens do with their Fire Giant. See if they get greedy for a Phoenix. You have to let the tier 2s go. You're not defending those against this lead. It's now fully 10,000 in favor of the Wardens. You can take a look at the builds. You see just how far ahead they are. There's a dominance online for Griff. Griff isn't even doing crit build. His damage is just higher because of XP and gold right now. He doesn't need the burst. That's also why they're taking these objectives down so quickly. It's just the shred. So effective against these jungle monsters. Pyromancer also looked at.
Well, that's Pyromancer gone as Oni minions start making their way on down here. We're over the 20-minute mark in the game, but trailing at the moment, Tyrian Weavers. Looks to be the case that for now, they'll hold on back here. You seem to think that the Kaolin Wardens could go for some more here.
I am surprised that it's only 20 minutes into the game at this rate. Like, look at the map right now. We've got towers down, only 1 tier 2 still standing. Wardens have themselves over a 10,000 lead. You'd expect this to be a little bit longer. The Wardens have just been taking every single advantage that they got and just pushing it to the fullest. This is a team we've been waiting to see from them so far, Blur. And if they keep this up, it is a good look for them. I like their decision not to get too hasty on anything. Fire Giant will be falling off relatively soon, and they've got enough of an advantage on board that they can simply go for the next one, and the Weavers probably aren't going to be able to step up to them. What the Weavers should do, though, is just split this map. You see Hydrogen on that left side, taking down that left tier 1 tower. Won't be worth it unless they can get at least a tier 2, but look at the rest of the team rotating in on this.
This could be a base race if they see too many members come around. This is a problem. Tyrian Weavers need at least another 4 or 5 minutes before they can actually be the team that we need them to be to show up. And by the looks of it, seeing the Grave is backed, they've got eyes on everyone in mid. And now it feels like a case of the Gambler's Paradox. They've committed into it, so they have to keep pushing, but they're going to lose their Phoenix for it.
This was not worth it. Leaving Promise and Hydrogen over there, you got a tier 2. great. That is gold
mid.
that you need. But you've lost so much pressure as a result.
And that pressure is still mounting. Fire Giant's not even up. Fire Giant's not even on any members of the Kaolin Wardens, and they took that siege. And take a peek over towards that Fire Giant pit. There are 3 or 4 wards, 3 of which are sentries for the Kaolin Wardens. You mentioned that Tyrian Weavers can't contest. Even if they wanted to, they'll spot them a mile away.
Yeah, but the Weavers got their own ward up there. It's a normal ward on the Warden's ward. They've got some vision at least. Not enough. Nowhere near enough. Fire Giant absolutely melting under the pressure from the Wardens here. Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
This is a base race.
Judas.
This is a big base race.
No.
Yeah, I don't like this call either. You can see everyone is backing. The Hercules will go ahead and back, as will Short Fuse, but everyone else is already pushing down this right-hand side. Thankfully, Tyrian Weavers will be able to be back here in time, but is calling the Kaolin Warden's bluff really all Tyrian Weavers feel comfortable doing right now?
I wouldn't even call it a bluff. I mean, the Wardens could absolutely just run that down and destroy that Phoenix. They could end the game with the lead they have right now. Weavers have to be playing a little bit more defensively. Still have a tier 2 tower up, which is going to slow the Wardens down just a little bit. I'd like to see them push down this left side and strip that away. Anything to make this Titan easier to kill here. Go ahead and pick themselves up another Fury on top of it beforehand. I don't think the Weavers have actually gotten a single objective in this game, Blur. They've just been choked out of any map pressure at all. And it's hard to say it's because of their draft. Although if you asked me, I would say that Sylvanas isn't really doing a whole lot for them in these fights. But I also don't think he would have prevented Hydrogen.
Oh no, this could be a problem. Relentless One is doing the Relentless One things. They're just going to walk on into this Phoenix while the rest of the Wardens march their way forward with minions. And that pen build means that this Phoenix is gone in a matter of seconds. In fact, so is Promise. Now Tripno trying to return damage through, but Short Fuse just takes them up into the sky, and then into the ground goes Remakami. Unfortunately as well, Grave can't find an angle to get on in. The Tyrian Weaver's Titan is now under duress a little bit, though. Kaolin Wardens don't want to overextend. I'll wait for some minions. Try and look for another pick here as Relentless One starts tanking this one up. It's got to be Graves who starts something here.
He goes in and he gets cut down.
As is the Titan by the looks of it. Griff will grab themselves a double. Panda Cat will seal the deal with the deicide. And the Tyrian Weavers can do nothing but watch as their Titan gets taken here in game 1.
Dominant performance from the Wardens, to say the least. I mean, that was decisive. Clean cut, clear what they wanted to do. Weavers just had no chance to respond to them at any point in that game. Yes, it was tense in those first few minutes, right? About 12 minutes passed, and it was looking pretty good, but there was still a lead. There was about a 2,000 gold lead at that time. Both teams respected each other enough not to try to push for anything too funny there. As the time went on, the Wardens are simply playing the map better. Part of that, I do think, starts before minute 1, when we have Promise over on the blue buff, running at Relentless One. Didn't find much for any of that effort put in. Didn't even win the lane in solo off of that. Then we need to go back to the drawing board for that particular strategy.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. We'd have to ask the team exactly what the idea behind that was, but like you mentioned, Promise just never really got to do Sylvanas things. In part is, I kind of feel like Terra's just Sylvanas, but better. You want a big team fight ult that disrupts everyone with, you know, a Wrath of Terra, ironically named for the Sylvanas, and then Terra just goes, that's cute, what if I did that but better? And there was never a point where we saw. I mean, we saw one ult from Horus, and that was very early on, and then nothing.
Oh, see, Remakami couldn't Horus ult. Because if he tried to, Relentless One stepped up and said, oh, that's funny, you're channeling an ability? What if I just pumped all my damage into you? And even if Remakami doesn't die from it, he's no longer in fighting condition. He can't go into a fight after that. As though they're just caught in this perpetual vortex where they want to step forward, but oh no, we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable position, so we can't step forward. they just never had a leg to stand on in that game. Like I said, I don't think it's entirely draft related, but if I'm the Weavers going into game 2, I may be reconsidering the Sylvanas, looking for something else, something that brings a little bit more survivability, maybe, to himself, a little bit more pressure. Hell, maybe even. As much as I hate to say that, as much as I loathe myself for saying that, Blur, I think the Hell would have been better.
Man, we are in a drastic state when you're recommending Hell for a game 2 draft here. Well, those two teams are going to go back to the drawing board, and while they go ahead and cook up a plan, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break before we jump on in to game 2. Welcome back, Smite fans. Game 1 between the Tyrian Weavers and the Kaolin Wardens was a pretty dominant statement by the Kaolin Wardens. If you pick Sylvanas, we're going to make it look like a 4v5 here. Supersonic Blur joined once again by Spooky's Mars. And you mentioned before, like, needs to be a bit of a draft difference here, going so far as Hell as the options. That's Tyrian Weaver's plan. Do Kaolin Wardens need to change anything up here, or...?
No. The Wardens did just fine with their draft. Now, I will say, if there are major changes to the Weavers draft, at that point you may start reconsidering some of those picks that the Wardens did have. Naja may look a little bit less appealing. If there is a Hell on the other side, that cleanse can be a real doozy to have your ult snatched away from you. You can expect that these players know that timing fairly well to be able to pull that off. But overall, if the Weavers try to just run back what they had, Wardens have no problem with that. They'll more than likely be more than happy to go right back to that Hercules on Relentless one. We've seen him consistently do well on it. That's really the main thing you're looking for.
I mean, the other thing as well is, like, how do you try and ban out that without leaving open bans that are worse? I don't want to see a Relentless one on a Hercules, but I'm damn sure if he got a Guan Yu, then it would be even worse. He's Hell, Afro, Yamoja, Verman from Kaolins. If they see Tyrian Weavers trying to ban him out, they could just go, okay, bet, give us something even better for us to deal with.
Now, it does depends somewhat on who's taken the first pick here, because the Weavers do have a world where if they're in the second pick, they can just say, okay, what do we not want to play against? Okay, take out the Hercules, take out the Vomit. Maybe they take out the Guan Yu as well. Let the cookie fall how it will. If you can leave up Hell, Aphrodite, Baba Yaga, all those are still good picks. Horus. You still give yourselves options while limiting what Relentless One can do.
Well, let's go ahead and see what the Tyrian Weavers have decided for a strategy here in these picks and bans. Their first pick was Martichorus, and Tripno looked phenomenal on it. But the problem was, it was a bucket against a tidal wave. There was no way he was stopping it all, but they're going back to the first pick here. Let's see if they are going to change things up. It was Thor, Guan Yu, and Hobwa for their first three. And to be honest, I cannot blame them if they go for those same three.
I could see a world where they take out the Hercules and let the Thor go through. I mean, yeah, Short Fuse was having a good impact, but Thor is one of those junglers where I do feel like you can kind of prepare for that, especially if you're looking for something like Martigris or the Hell. Those both have tools to avoid the Thor just coming down and eviscerating you. Marty will have to be a little bit more aware. We'll have to Death from above before the Anvil of Dawn comes down, but he has the tools available to him. There's the Terra taken off the board by the Weavers, though. Can't say I blame them for that. Gino had a fantastic game. Pretty much just personally signed the Weavers' death warrant like several times. Nashaban, I'm not as much of a fan of there.
That's an interesting one, because you left open the Thor, and it seems like it's going to be some respect bans towards this. Guan Yu's left open, Thor is left open, as is the Verman. The question is, what do the Tyrian Weavers want? They're going to go for the Vermana. The question is, can Wardens counter this with their top two?
I like this Vermana pick. Gives you flexibility. We talked about that a little bit earlier. You can go either jungle or solo. You're not 100% sure which one it's going to do. Likely is going to be in that solo lane when against Relentless One on this Hercules. And if that's the case,
oh boy,
I'm not sure that Relentless One is too worried about it. Thor also picked up, so that is the banned jungler now going the way of the Wardens, and this time there's no Marty to avoid things. Hell's still an option. You have to be very careful with that one, because Thor can pretty easily punish a Hell pick in the early game. Horus.
Okay. I personally don't want to see Ramakami playing this Horus in the solo lane. I'm going to be real with you. Against the Hercules, it's not going to do enough. You can't punish the Hercules enough. Merlin picked up the Tripno, though, in the top 3 for them here. He's still a good target into the Thor, so I feel like Tyrian Weavers are just trying to take good picks. And already I'm looking at Wardens and I'm going, yeah, well, it's a Hercules, a Thor. They're insane as well.
It's a tough spot to be in. I like what the Weavers have done. What I'm expecting is I am expecting this Horus to go to Promise. Vaughn, I expect to be in Ramakami's hands, and this is why I think they've saved their jungler. And I could be completely wrong. This could be Vaughn and jungle.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. We don't know that. So do the Wardens know that? Instead, they're going to ban Agni, and I would be upset at that, but then I remember that NA has had an Agni jungle, Loki mid, so I cannot say for certain anything here. I've upset Spooky and reminded them that happened, haven't I?
I asked you. I specifically asked you after that entire game to never remind me of that and let me just forget it ever happened. And here you come on our very next cast, Fleur. Our very next cast. And you have to do it to me.
I have to do it to you. That does surprise me. What
the Wardens are feeling it.
What is a pass ban? You say it's just the Wardens are feeling themselves?
They're feeling it. They've got the momentum. They're confident. They've looked at the Weavers and they've said, we don't think we need 5 bans against you. Do what you will.
That is cheeky.
They take the Sylvanas. The Wardens are absolutely just trying to style on the Weavers right now. They are playing a mental game. And frankly, if I was on the Weavers, the Wardens would be winning that game. Hands down.
See, here's the question. We spoke a little bit in between the casts about how Sylvanas used to be dealt with, and that's as soon as he roams, he dies in the jungle. He is a tree, and that is it. You need good lockdown to go with it, and now they're going to go ahead and lock in the Hunbats. This was one of those picks that did it. It was Nemesis and Hunbats. CC him out, and he has nowhere to go. That does mean that you did call it, though. Ramakami will be likely the one taking this Varman to the solo lane to match up into the Hercules.
It's nice to have this Hunbats here to try to punish. No. Listen, Wardens, listen. If you're listening to me, please, you can't just do this to me as I'm trying to make a point about the other side and you lock in an Anubis. What is happening in my Smite game right now? The Wardens are just egoing on the Weavers right now. And you know what? After game 1, they've kind of earned it a little bit. The question is this too much egoing? Is it too much to take the Sylvanas and the Anubis? Because Panicat was vulnerable in that early game. He took a couple deaths early on. This is less safe than the Toth is. I don't know.
Well, I gotta say, it's either going to be a stylish snowball or it's just going to crumble apart. Either way, Tyrian Weavers and the Wardens both want this game as a victory for them. Wardens to close this set out and Tyrian Weavers to keep it going. Let's see whether or not they are able to do that here in the second game coming on through. Are we going to see the same start coming through? It doesn't look like it, and I'm very happy for it.
You know what? I half expected it. I half expected Gino to just say, you know what? I can do it too. And I can do it better. And just try to steal away the blue buff from Ramakami. I'm glad he's not. I would have been pretty upset, to say the least there, Blur. This is a more standard start. This is about what we're expecting to see. And frankly, if Griff had that much pressure in this dual lane in game 1 with a Terra support, they've got pressure in spades if you put this Sylvanas alongside. The AoE basics, it's good disgusting at clearing. Hydrogen has some tools to help match that, right? The Izanami basics are unique in that they pass through the entirety of the wave, then come back. So it should give them some way to contest that wave clear. But look, they're already pushed in on that left side, and indeed in the mid lane as well. To be expected.
And in the solo lane as well. Like, every lane's having some trouble here. Tyrian Weavers, though, like you said, they can start answering it back, especially in this duo lane side, but as it stands right now, Tripno in mids, under duress, Thor's been roaming. it might cause some trouble here. Gold lead. 200 of that gold has gone into the tower. But Short Fuse is looking for an early rotation here onto this Verman. Great stun!
No!
But he's the wrong side of the wall.
Excellent idea there. I loved that from Short Fuse. If he had been able to land that wall on just the other side of Ramakami, 100% it's a kill there. Unfortunately, sometimes the coin just doesn't land that way, and you lose those 50-50s. Either way, it still does a ton of damage to Ramakami. He's stuck under that tower. Buff also looked at on the side of the Weavers. They actually make their way out with that one. Keep an eye on these junglers, because that's where the breakpoints are going to be for both sides. Both of these hit their power spikes really hard at level 5. Grave, a little bit more than Short Fuse. Short Fuse can be a little bit more active than Hunbots can in the early game. Either way, you can see Grave is just prioritizing this farm, trying to get 5 as fast as possible, splitting waves with his mid laner. Frankly, I think that's the right call, because as a Hunbots, you don't have good ganks until you have the ultimate online, so they have to get it online as fast as they can.
And that's the plan. I agree with you. I love it. I also love the fact that Grave opting for the blink as well. Not worried about CC. Just says, I need to get into these fights as soon as possible. So needing that blink for them. Though, both these junglers looking towards like a Transcendence build here. But nice little play from Graves here. Looking to keep an eye on the rotation. But Relentless One sniffs it out.
Oh my.
And there's a rotation from Short Fuse coming in as well. So this could spell some trouble. Because Ramakami is still trying to clear a wave.
Yeah, Grave has to just monkey jump on over that wall. Does not secure the blue buff. That's going to go the way of Relentless One. Look at Ramakami, though. He's answering back.
Oh, that's cute.
This is a good call.
He's going to get it.
Yeah.
But is he going to get out? Oh, beautiful sidestep there. Caused a little bit of trouble. Short Fuse as well gets their ankles broken. So Ramakami gets to steal away a buff. His mental's fine. He might be in trouble still, though.
Oh boy, that's a big pluck right there. Grave is here, though. Look at how low Relentless One is!
Relentless One finds a shot. Short Fuse, though, with the huge damage from Panda Cat, who just meanders into the mid lane. Tripno, I assume, pinged him out on the map, but they just thought they could burst him down, leaving this at a 2-for-1 in the favor of the Kaolin Wardens.
Listen, if someone picks Anubis against you, and they start rotating into a fight that you're winning, even if they get pinged out, are you respecting that Anubis enough, or are you trying to re-ego them? Is the ego back, the Uno reverse? Unfortunately for the Weavers, they did need to respect it. Panda Cat has a lot of damage as an Anubis, and look at his build right now. He's going for the Obsidian Shard as the first item. No, I'm sorry, actually, that is not.
Oh, hold that thought for a moment here. Humbats hit 5, so Humbats wants to go ahead and show off the ult and what they've been cooking up in the bakery. Relentless One does get away for a little bit of work, but there's still 2 members going to be chasing them down. The slows and the damage is there, so it may take a little longer than Graves wants, but Graves picks up a kill for the solo lane. And that option there, Spear of the Magus.
Yes. I was just about to say, they actually switched which item that comes out of, so now Spear of the Magus has percent pen instead of flat pen. Is a very good pickup for Panda Cat. Entirely tick damage on this Anubis. You're getting so much value out of this item. It's just kind of bonkers. Not sure, it doesn't give you the CDR, the Spear of Deso will. That's okay. It's giving him more sustain, and look at the damage!
Yep. He doesn't care. The ult comes out. Tripno pretty much soloed entirely in that point, and we come full circle on the flat disc of time. Spear of the Magus, insane item for Anubis, then it got changed again, and it's an insane item on Anubis, so good luck there as Short Fuse steals away the green buff. Grave can do very little but watch, and now that's just, what, like 2 waves going towards tower here? Tripno is falling behind, and Panda Cat's just not being looked at all.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of this switch from Tripno. Now, granted, Marty was banned, so he could actually go back. Oh my god, promise!
Pulled back in by a great CC chain, follows the walls. Gino pulls him back through. However, Hydrogen there to bail him out.
Excellent positioning from Hydrogen. It could have been very bad. Tripno is just getting run at.
Thor leave him
alone.
He's looking for it. He's still not done yet. We'll go ahead and follow through with Mjolnir's attunement. Tripno ends up falling. And now Graves put under half health already. This Anubis is just spearheading so much for the Kaolin Wardens.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring up the Anubis, because the biggest reason Tripno was doing well in this mid lane matchup in game 1.
What happened to his health bar?
Short fuse.
Hello?
You gotta land a wall. Like, he's gotta land one.
He might just do it at this point. There is a bait, though. I do like this short fuse. This is such good play from the Wardens. You look at any ranked game that's going like this, and you know your jungler is inting their brains out there looking for that kill.
I mean, short fuse hasn't landed a wall yet, so it's not immaculate just yet. Once he starts connecting those, I'll send a little bit more praise his way. He's dropped like 3 kills by now that could have been taken.
He's at least two that we've seen.
2.
You know.
But I mean, at the same time, how much criticism can we really put on him? Because he is 3-0. He's got 27 stacks on his Transcendence at, 7 minutes into the game?
What?
Tripno's having a bad time, man. He's having a really bad time in this mid lane. And it's because he's no longer an early game god. Martigris has a much better early game than this Merlin, who relies heavily on scaling. Against this early game Anubis, it's just not there.
Oh, there's another wall hit, and Remakami
there it is.
falls because of it. Now not Gino's made a rotation. Nice pickup, and look at that! The train does not stop at this station. Tripno will take down Panda Cat with some support from Promise, so it's a nice return kill for them. But with that said, it is 3-6 here, and the Rembers from Kaolin Wardens are going in aggressively!
What is this? It's just pure aggression from the Wardens and non-stop. Promise.
There's another wall. Promise is trying to get away. You could see the look on his face. He's pleading with Tripno. Come back, please. Come back. I need to let me out. Oh, it's one of those. It's one of those games that if you're in a ranked game, you have to just go, okay, let's at least try and laugh at this, because otherwise we're gonna cry at this.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit frustrating to be in. But the Weavers are still taking it on the chin. They are standing up strong. Maybe not strong, but tall at the very least. They're still looking to take these fights. Gold lead isn't terrible right now. Only 1,300 in favor of the Wardens. That's not unbeatable.
I mean, big wall. But even better CC coming through. Buys Promise a little bit of time. With Hydrogen's ult, good work for there, but unfortunately there are just 3 members, and Hydrogen goes in to try and get their beads forced, and they will happily lose those. Does not get the gold buff either. So at this point in time, Hydrogen has had a better game, and you mentioned as well, this gold lead doesn't feel too bad, and even though the momentum from kills feels like it's a lot in the Warden's favor, actually take a moment to just go, let's assess the situation. Everyone is fine here. Panda Cat is still just an Anubis and is very susceptible to damage. And without beads, every Grave ult should be landing a home there.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the way that this game is going with the non-stop fighting, you might just be in for a solo cast at this point. Because look at where the Weavers are at. They get a kill.
It's back on the gold.
Right to the Gold Fury. Short fuse is here.
Might look for it. Miona's attunement does not land for the end of that. So as a result, Tyrian Weavers will go ahead and grab themselves this Fury. And with that Gold Fury, that gold lead that you were talking about, that ever so slight start of a hint of maybe there's a problem, it's gone. It's gone.
It's actually in favor of the Weavers now, in fact. Which, it's not enough. Oh, boy.
Oh, Remakami. Look at how much damage he's taking! Relentless one from across the bottom of the screen! Pummels into Remakami! Forced into the ultimate, and he's looking to try and find whatever he can to lifesteal off of. Into the skies goes one, and the second with Short Fuse. And Remakami will not be able to get away. Short Fuse takes that one down as Panda Cat picks up Promise.
The damage coming out from Panda Cat on that one just erased Remakami. Granted, Remakami doesn't really have much in the way of magical protections right now. Panda Cat certainly has quite a bit in the way of penetration. And this is just the story of the game, Blur. It's the Wardens walking at the Weavers, demanding an answer. Weavers have not had too many of them so far. They had a couple. They were able to kill PCAT. They were able to pick themselves up a Gold Fury. But immediately afterwards, this gold is swinging right back in the favor of the Wardens. They take another fight. They go for an objective. And that's what they were missing until this point. And granted, that was because there wasn't a Pyromancer on the map. And they weren't at a state where they could just start the Gold Fury. But now we're in a situation where this game plan will become a little bit more worrisome for the Weavers. If the Wardens maintain this aggression and keep finding those picks, it opens up so many more opportunities for them now. They can look at the Pyromancers. They can look at the Furies when they start respawning. In fact, look at the towers. The tier 1s are taking some damage.
Yeah, mid-tier 1, the only one who still stands somewhat immaculate at the very least, but if the Wardens feel like it, they could very easily siege that. And I just want to go back to the point you mentioned, how Kaolin Wardens are just running into everyone. Look at Gino's build here. It's movement speed on movement speed. And I can't help but feel like this is part of the reason why this Sylvanas is working. But hold that a sec. Short fuse. End up taking a bit of a scuffle here. But that was Humbat's ult used. And it does not find purchase with a kill. And Relentless One is not having it.
Oh my gosh, the boulder comes through. Grave just hops on over. He's on his way out. But look where they rotated to. Panicat and
no.
Gino are here.
They're taking a lot of damage, and sure, it may not be Anubis,
Ooh.
but nobody can sleep on the Merlin damage here. He's got like 12 abilities, and all of them do damage, bar one. And even then, it still gets you in range to do more damage. So with that, we are going to see a little bit of an attempt here to try and siege it. Keep an eye on where this Horus is going. There's Into the Skies, and Panda Cat's pushed back. So all in all, this will end up... Oh, beautiful stun there. Promise caught under the tower. And in comes Short Fuse, turning it around. Kaolin Wardens looking to pick up some big kills here. Short Fuse finds 2. And Tyrian Weavers overstep their boundaries and are punished heavily for it.
Short Fuse still looking for one more. And Shipto has to burn the Aegis. I don't know that he has any way out of this one. Flicker gets caught.
Oh, boy. He swapped stance for damage, but look who's coming around behind him! Just in case Panda Cat was here, but Short Fuse finds themselves the unofficial triple there. And they are silently, suddenly, 9-0-1 as Hydrogen's getting ganked.
Oh man, Hydrogen cannot win tonight. He's gonna fall for sure there. Griff picks that one up. Now that gold lead is starting to build back up a little bit more here. The Weavers have taken a noticeable spill. They try to get aggressive. They try to be on that front foot, but they are not the aggressors in this game, Blur. They just don't have it in their kits right now to be making those plays. Ramakami isn't tanky enough, doesn't have enough damage to just be that big front line. Wardens simply answer back damage with damage, and right now, they have more of it. Use them to picking up a Primal Fury for themselves as well. And honestly, I think that might be the worst Fury that the Weavers could see the Wardens get right now. Because the way that the Wardens are playing is they're just pushing to open this map up for themselves. They're trying to control these jungle objectives. Now they're going to burn them down a little bit faster. Look what's coming up. It's the Pyromancer. The Weavers are just starting to lose a grip on this game. 8 kills down, starting around that 3,000 gold point. They've got to find a win somewhere. They've got to start taking these objectives away and stop playing the Wardens' game plan. They have to stop walking into the Wardens and taking these fights and just play back and scale.
Well, hopefully they will be able to do so, as we can see some level disparities starting to creep their way in jungle support and in duo lane. But Tyrian Weavers are aware that this Pyromancer is going down, and they will go ahead and grab that one. And it's a nice little look for them. It's a small breather, and it does show that they are still keeping their head in this game. So now, the Weavers, you said that they just got to get up and scale then. So late game, everyone's level 20, everyone's full build. Is that a team fight that Tyrian Weavers win?
Absolutely. I mean, they have the tools to do that. Ramakami can just walk at people And the Wardens will have to put a lot of resources into killing him. You add in Grave, who can just disrupt an entire fight, and Tripno, Merlin, that is a ton of damage. Handicat, yes, will put out a ton of DPS. He will burn people down.
Like a fire giant.
Very immobile, and the fire giant is also immobile.
It's being looked at. It's sat at about half. In goes Ramakami round to the backside, and the ult comes through. But with the Cursed Donk in place, Tyrian Weavers are going to steal away a Fire Giant against an Anubis, and they're turning the fight around as well. Graves finds a perfect opportunity to ult in, but now it's just slap fighting damage until the ADCs show up, and Merlin puts down huge damage. 3 members for 1, make it 4, and by the looks of Relentless One, he's trying not to make it 5.
16-minute Fire Giant. If you have the lead from the last game, sure, go for it. The Wardens don't have that lead. They made a 50-50 call, and Ramakami answered back, walked right on in. This is the front line of the Weavers. Gets themselves a Fire Giant, and they just shred the rest of the Wardens down. Tripno put out tons of damage, but I really think it's Grave that really saves them that fight. Drop the Fear No Evil, split everything up. The Wardens were not prepared for the re-engagement. They'd already put all their resources into taking down that Fire Giant, failed the Secure because they don't have Secure. They only have burn potential on it. And they just did not respect the Weavers walking in on them. This puts the Weavers right back in the game. Hell, not right back in the game. They're ahead in the goal charts right now. This was everything they needed and more. Look at Hydrogen. He's a level up on Griff. He was 2 levels down at the Fire Giant.
And it's one good team fight. And I don't like pointing fingers and being like, it's your fault, but you got an Anubis ult, mate. You got to use it, because now Griff pulls in Grave and ults him. Does look like the Kaolin Wardens do want to try and at least mount some kind of a defense here over towards this Oni Fury. This will be a great one for the siege. Let's see whether or not they can make their way in.
Oni Fury spawned in. No Runic Bomb available to the Weavers. They used that with the Fire Giant. Gold lead still negligible. The Wardens have a very good opportunity to fight this. You can see the respect the Weavers are putting towards them, trying to zone them out. Tripno trying to find any poke he can, just zoning them away. This is in favor of the Wardens. Wait, Grave.
Grave has to go for it. Grave's looking for a blink time to do so. Tripno ends up eating way too much damage, but Fire Giant sustain will keep him going. Graves still looking for something, but Relentless One is the one pushing forward. Only finds Ramakami, so will not drop them away. And it's just a poke battle here against sustain. And with this Fire Giant, it feels even. Grave is on a ward this whole time, but there's the blink and a huge pull. It's Gino who's caught, and Gino who's taken down. Tripno's damage is just too much to handle. Short Fuse can't find a handle on it and has to disengage because Ramakami is beating down the backline.
That is the problem right there. Once the Weavers get into that fight, the Wardens have no way out. That's why they've been the aggressors the entire time. They've been trying to be the ones on the front foot, picking where these fights happen at, and they just cannot do it this time. Promise. Big ult over to the Pyromancer here. Take one objective, ult over to the other, clean sweep. Now pushing their lead towards 5,000 here. The Weavers have played a patient game, Blur, and they are being rewarded for their efforts. The Wardens could have just kept waiting at that Fury. They didn't have to do anything there if they just allowed the Fire Giant to tick down on the Weavers. Instead, they kind of just opened the door and invited the Weavers in.
I mean, that was going to be my question if that fight kept going, was, does this actually benefit Weavers? Should they just pull the objective and force an engagement? Because Kaolin Wardens, when you're behind, I mean, look, that Fire Giant goes down, they get two towers in mid, and that Oni Fury, that's all they get off of that first Fire Giant. And now we're sitting at just under 21 minutes in here. And it is causing a little bit of a problem because Tyrian Weavers find themselves in the perfect spot to hold for this next one.
Man, there's just no way around this Merlin damage right now. Once you start getting to these jungle fights, Tripno is putting out so much area control. Wardens are struggling to find a window in. And even if they get in, Ramakami is still the big question mark. He's simply able to get right on top of Panda Cat and just start slapping face with a big bat.
Yeah, not just a big bat, but a big axe too.
That is a big axe. He's got that completed as well. It's a tough fight for the Wardens, but Relentless One, he's the one leading the charge.
Hydrogen was the focus of Relentless One, but his health bar's being just deleted here. The crit damage is too much. Graves finds an okay ultimate into the back line of this one, but Gino will start getting Relentless One a little bit healthier here. Keep an eye on Short Fuse. They're off the ward vision right now, and so as a result, Tyrian Weavers are not going to go ahead and pull a Kaolin Wardens. They're going to let them start this, because they did it once before. They'll go for it again. Relentless One tanking the Fire Giant. Relentless One put down in the dirt by Hydrogen there.
Now Ramakami in the back line, and he's just beating Panda Cat!
What? The damage is absolutely insane! This could very well be, but Graves looking to pick up the kills. There are 4 members gone. Who cares about this Fire Giant at this point? I mean, the rest of the team does. But even so, Ramakami keeps away Gino so as to make sure no one is ever coming into this Fire Giant. And the DPS burst, Panda Cat has like an item and a half of sustain and Anubis passive and was ulting and just gone.
Unfortunately, he was also ulting the wrong direction. Ramakami gets on top of him, starts smacking him down. Listen, you're not moving away from that. You're in the ult. Even if you cancel the ult, you're not getting away. You're Anubis. You gotta turn it around onto Ramakami and try to deal some kind of damage there. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. Now, the Weavers with the Fire Giant take down 2 more towers on this right side. Extend this gold lead just a little bit more towards the 9,000 mark here. It's become their game to lose after a very rough start. Wardens just don't have the survivability in these fights right now, Blur. If they want a fight, first of all, Relentless One can't be getting caught like that. I know he was just trying to create some space, but he was too far forward. And against this Weavers team, Promise simply locks you down and you just start eating Merlin damage. It's not the position you want to be in around the Fire Giant. Pull back, play with the team a little bit more. Gino cannot stop Ramakami from diving the backline, not on his own. It has to be a concerted damage effort to stop Ramakami. The problem is, if everything goes to Ramakami, who's dealing with the rest?
Yeah, you've got Tripno. I mean, look at the player damage numbers here. Hydrogen, who's had a phenomenal game, 5-1-6 at this point, 2 crit items deep into the build, and honestly, with the way they've been focused, could just go for another one without any issue, or even just go for any other. I mean, they could build whatever they like at this last item, as far as I'm concerned. They're not getting focused at all, and have the highest damage output. Tripno, who is very close, and now Ramakami's causing trouble. Relentless One beadsing, I think, unnecessarily. That may have been a fat finger, but Ramakami is over this side of the map. Now, I'm a bit concerned. Last time we saw Ramakami split pushing when Tyrian Weavers were winning a game, they straight up lost the game because of it. So now we'll see on this 4v4 over this left-hand side.
Now, the difference is they don't have Relentless One here for the Wardens to also defend this tower. Weavers are taking a 4-on-4. They've got Promise. They've got Grave. This looks like a good fight for them. Finally, Relentless One does get the reset. EP comes in. It's a 5-on-5 for the Siege. Weavers are going to go in.
Oh, big blink into the back line. It's pushing everyone away. Ramakami doing a great work, just ignoring everyone else and letting them create space. Tyrian Weavers grab this Phoenix, but with the Kaolin Wardens hot on their heels, they are not going to get away for free unless the Protector Surge comes through, and that's good enough. But keep an eye on Thor. They do still have if they want to chase, but the Kaolin Wardens have called it off.
Yeah, too far gone are the Weavers for Short Fuse to commit anything onto them at this point. If he tries, he is absolutely dead. Weavers just deleted that Phoenix in a heartbeat. Blur, it feels like every time we see these teams come up, first game, absolutely decisive. Game 2 comes around, that wasn't all that decisive, actually. This is what we can do now. The Weavers just bounce back. And they've bounced back very effectively. Right now, they're ahead in every category that counts. Gold, XP. XP matters a little bit less right now, but Promise is still ahead of Geno. Hydrogen has hit 20 before Griff. Oh, look at that. What are you going to do? You gonna kill Ramakami? Nah.
You don't care?
He doesn't care.
Don't care.
Just clears the path.
If this game goes much later, he's selling Golden Blade, and that's like the last thing you do at like 40 minutes into a game. We're 26 minutes in, and it's the third Fire Giant, and already Tyrian Weavers are setting up for it. And no more, quick stepping around. They're just gonna go and take it. If Kaolin Wardens show up, they are gonna have to shut them up.
12k up. It's hard to do anything but step up to the Fire Giant and make the Wardens answer. Wardens are here. Weavers still played this cautiously. They don't want to make a silly mistake and end up costing themselves this opportunity. They're going to go ahead and make sure they're all grouped up. Notably, Short Fuse is not here. The Weavers look for the fight. They've got a big advantage.
For the moment, but instead, it does look like Tyrian Weavers don't feel comfortable about this Fire Giant aggression
Left
here.
side.
It's dominance for Hydrogen here, and like you mentioned, left side, this is actually a reverse of that Fury we saw the earlier. Tyrian Weavers are the ones who want to keep Kaolin Wardens around.
Uh-oh, looks like they've sent 3 people back towards that side of the map as well. Griff, Short Fuse, and Panicat are all just backed away from this Fire Giant, respecting the fact that if one has to leave, the rest are not going to stand a chance if the Weavers get aggressive. So, wise on them. It's not enhanced Fire Giant just yet. Wardens can still try to make a defense here. The defenses are getting slimmer and slimmer, mind you. The gold deficit is nothing to sneeze at, and with Fire Minions on the left side, makes all your Phoenix defenses a little bit more complicated, trying to juggle the aggression from the enemy team, as well as the enhanced minions coming down the other side. Wardens aren't careful.
For them.
Those Fire Minions can deal a lot of damage to a Titan. Weavers are here. They're stepped up in the right. The split.
But look what's happening in mid. Look what's happening in mid at this point. Ramakami is grouped up with Grave if they wanted to try and go for a bait and switch, and I think it is. Geno's over this side as well. And it looks like at this point, Panda Cat is just batted backwards and forwards between these Phoenixes. They don't know where to be able to go here. The defense is holding for Kaolin Wardens, thanks to Panda Cat's damage by the looks of it. But even so, this is a risky one for the Tyrian Weavers, it seems.
They don't know where to go because there is nowhere for them to really go here. Now that those left minions are stepped up, that could be the go signal, but Weaver's still playing this a little bit cautiously. Oh, this guy's being channeled.
Ramakami. Then this could be a problem for them. They're trying to get minions in, but I don't know where Promise was landing that one. And instead it ends up falling down. But that buys Ramakami enough time to go ahead and grab that mid Phoenix. They're just trying to cause as much of a distraction as possible. Because Graves comes through. The Thor does not have beads, does not use Aegis in time, and does not have a life. Now Ramakami fights out Panda Cat and says, hey, all out lifesteal, you. Hydrogen comes around with the rest of the cavalry, picks up Relentless One, and with Short Fuse and Relentless One gone, all 5 members from Tyrian Weavers here, and 2 Phoenixes down. Minions are pouring in, and they could look for an end here. But instead, they're going to play this one absolutely safe. And they're just going to back this one up and try for the 3rd Phoenix. I don't know. I don't know if they needed to, especially when Graves get pulled in like that. Thankfully, Panda Cat does not have enough damage to follow up soon enough. And so they will get this last Phoenix. But with 3 Phoenixes down now, maybe they're going for an end now.
They could very well. They've got the Fire Minions. Fire Giant still on them for a little bit longer. They're going into the throne room.
Oh, and Ramakami just deletes Geno at this point. Panda Cat throws out the ult in vain, trying to find whoever damage they can. But even so, Tyrian Weavers answered this one back and say, you are not taking a 2-0 on us.
Yeah, not taking a 2-0 at all. And frankly, I'm a little bit surprised. We saw how much the Wardens were kind of riding the momentum from game number 1 at the start of this second game here. But it seems it's just a little bit too much of a high there. They weren't able to really build a lead off of any of that aggression. I don't care if you have 1 kill, 5 kills, 15 kills, or 50 kills. If the goal deficit is 1,300, you haven't actually done anything. You haven't made an impact on the game. And that's unfortunately the situation the Wardens found themselves in. There were no jungle objectives up while they were finding all that aggression. They weren't stealing those camps away as frequently as they should have been. So the Weavers said, all right, we'll farm. See you at 15. And they sure saw them at 15 around that fire giant.
And that for me is the big one, like you said. This whole thing was Kaolin Wardens feeling themselves. You said it back in Picks and Bans. You know, they're grabbing the Anubis last pick. They're grabbing the Sylvanas for Gino. And it felt like, hey, let us show you how to play these gods. You know, you look like you need the extra effort. But just one poor call to try and give Kaolin Wardens that edge ends up biting them in the foot. So Tyrian Weavers make a great punish. And with that, they're going to go ahead and grab us to a game 3 here, which is going to be quite a fun one for us. Both of these two teams looking for that final win. And I don't know who's coming out on top, but I'm looking forward to finding out when we come back from this break. Game number 2 ends with the Tyrian Weavers telling the Kaolin Wardens, you do not get to walk away with a 15-minute fire giant. In fact, we are going to walk away with that fire giant and then run away with the game, bringing us here to the game number 3. Whatever happens here, one of these two teams is coming away with the win, Spooky.
And both teams are desperate for it at this point. Obviously, in game 2, the Wardens were feeling pretty confident about themselves. They played well, but they weren't able to really secure the map the way they needed to. A little bit over-ambitious, I would say, is the word I would use around that fire giant. A little bit lax on the secure. Maybe not paying enough respect to the fact that the Weavers were coming in. Here in game 3, I think you can expect these teams to be a little bit more cautious of each other. Maybe not the Weavers. The Weavers now have the momentum. But we've seen them keep a level head through quite a lot so far. I wouldn't expect too much to change here in game number 3.
Well, it's not necessarily the Weavers' call to make here. Kaolin Wardens, having lost that game, will be the ones who decide who's getting that first pick here in game number 3 for the picks in bans. And that could very well change things up. So if we can go ahead, have a look at some of those production, if you would be so kind, I would appreciate that. But from those side of things, I'm thinking, yeah, if Tyrian Weavers got first pick again, I was going to be concerned whether it was a salty run back, but Wardens have said they want first pick. How much is this going to change up in the draft side of things?
Well, normally I would say, okay, they can guarantee themselves the Hercules, but they didn't have that banned away from them in game number 2, and in fact, it really didn't look like it had too much of an impact in game number 2 at all. Our Tigris can be banned away by the Weavers themselves, so that's the other point I was actually going to. Thank you, teams, for that one. The Wardens just seem to be banning away things that worked for the Weavers, right? Maybe Remikami didn't have the best performance on the Horus in the solo lane. Well, they swapped it over to Promise, put it in support, did pretty much everything it needed to at that point. Wardens are trying to limit what the Weavers have available to them, and it feels like they're trying to limit what they can do in that solo lane specifically, because when the Wardens look good, it is largely because Relentless One is just having a good game. Hoonbots, last ban as well. Everything I'm looking at just seems to be facilitating Relentless One.
And at this point in time, Wardens, all 3 of those bans are respect bans for the last game. With that said, though, Tyrian Weavers do go ahead and ban away the Naja. But Shortfuse had an absolutely runaway game on this Thor. But with Yamoja, Aphrodite, Guan Yu, Hercules, there are too many things up for the Wardens to be able to worry about. They will just go ahead and finish up with the Yamoja for their first pick. If I'm Tyrian Weavers, I was going to say, I feel like you got to take Shortfuse off this Thor.
Yeah, Shortfuse had a good game on it, don't get me wrong. But he didn't have perhaps the impact that you were really hoping for. As the game went on, he couldn't do a whole lot. Yeah, the Anvils of Dawn were great, but they weren't finding the picks they needed. It was frequently just disengaged by Grave on the Hunbots. And granted, Hunbots was taken off the board, so I like the decision here from the Weavers to also take the Thor away. And with this Guan Yu, there's quite a bit of potential here. Ratatosker. You want to play a game, Blur? What?
Where's the Ratatosker going?
Where's the Ratatosker going?
I'll tell you, here's the thing. It legitimately could go solo, it could go jungle, it could go mid, and I'm not even joking. I could see Panda Cat opting to channel their inner Artemis and just blink in, dash someone and crit them for 700. You don't like that idea. I don't like that idea. It's a fun one. If you ever want to have fun, play Rat mid, go for crit, and you will just run at the enemy mid laner. Like this Merlin, for example. You will demolish them.
Here's the thing, Blur. There's a time for the fun picks and the fun builds. And that was in game number 2. That was game number 2. Okay. It was time for the fun ones. This is game number 3. This is the one that everything is riding on. If something goes wrong, the Wardens don't get a redo. They don't get to say, oh, well, get them in the next one. This is the point where they have to be putting everything that they have right in front, saying, this is what we're doing. These are the tools we have. We're not going for the funny cheese strats. We're not going to try to say, oh, we're just better so we can do it. This is a point where they have to be utilizing things as well as they can. And I like this going to short fuse because it plays similarly to the Thor. You still get the semi-global ultimate. You still get AoE disruption on the drop-down, likely going to be used on just one target, maybe two. And you still have good gap closers with good CC. A very similar look, and since short fuse looks so good on the Thor, you can expect a similar performance out of this Ratatosker. Nose going the way of Hydrogen, taking it away now from Griff, but Griff decided on the ROM anyway. Lots of play around this Yamoja ult right now, and this one, that really solidifies the idea of what they're going for.
I can kind of see the idea behind it. Panda Cat looking to potentially take this Essa into the mid. It, like you said, it's better secure than the Anubis apparently, so it's an option. It does look like though short fuse is going to be piloting the Circuit. This is kind of one of those picks that since her changes and the buffs with crit, you either think she is the most dominant jungler or nothing has changed at all. And I'm of the opinion that you can't let her get to full build because she's 100% crit chance. And how do you deal with that?
By dying, generally. That's how you generally deal with it. You build spectral armor and then you still die because you're squishy and you just don't get to survive those. That is what you picked the Circuit for.
Oh, we're both wincing at that one there.
Don't like that.
I'd have loved the Terror, but that's Sylvanas. I'm just concerned that game number 1 was, hey, Sylvanas can't do anything. I don't think Sylvanas can do anything against this Warden draft.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I think Promise is going to find success on this one. Likely what's going to happen is that if he tries to go in, he's going to find a River's Rebuke. And he's got nowhere to go at that point. No mobility, no way to get out of that. Simply going to be burned down. Now, it does mean that, they won't have the River's Rebuke for the rest of the fight, but if you manage to take one person down just using that, probably already worthwhile. You've already got the numbers advantage as long as you don't put too many resources into it, which you shouldn't have to. You've got an E-set, you've got a ROM. They can both shred these tanks down fairly effectively. There's a lot going the way of the Wardens right now. They've drafted themselves a nice composition to make up for some of the mistakes in Game 2. Tyrian Weavers?
They have. Yeah. I mean, this Sylvanas has been a curse. Every team that has picked it has lost. Let's see whether or not that is a curse that will remain unbroken here. Game number 3 with the match point on the line. Promise goes ahead and runs back the Sylvanas. Thankfully, he's remembered which lane he's supposed to be in.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a reminder from his team on that one to say, okay, you're on you're on the other side of the map now, Promise. Just make sure you go where you're supposed to here. But no, I don't dislike the draft from the Weavers. There's a lot of good things going for it, right? They've got Grave and Ramakami on Thor and Guan Yu respectively. That is some really good dive potential from the jungle solo. Problem is they're going into Yamoja. If the River's Rebuke comes up, it becomes a lot harder for Ramakami to actually find that dive. If you respond to the cavalry charge by just putting a wall of water in front of him, he can't actually go through that with the horse. It does get stopped. Shifno had a very good performance in Game 2 on this Merlin, so I like seeing him back on it. They just have to make sure that he doesn't get pressured out in the early games. That was the biggest problem he was having in Game 2, was he was just getting so much aggression put towards him. I don't think they have the tools for it this time.
Doesn't look to be like it, and we can see here in that mid lane, Short Fuse and Panda Cat on these two very interesting picks here. The S-set, talk to me about that one if we get the chance, as we ponder duo lane for a moment to see whether or not either of these lanes are getting the better. But this E-set, you said she kind of gels with this team comp. Outside of the ult for objectives, what is she bringing?
Massive amount of... Whoa! Okay,
solo kill.
She's not bringing you a first blood, I can tell you that right now. Blair, that one goes to Ramakami on Relentless one. But she's bringing synergy with this River's Rebuke. If someone tries to dive into your team, you raise those walls and cut off the retreat paths and just drop the circle protection. I have to wait for level 5 for that. Grave, not looking for the gank just yet.
Ooh, good pull. Very nice pull there. Gino does not have sprint available for them, so we'll have to walk this one back at a regular pace. And so, even so, one of the things there, Grave walked over a ward that Gino's been placing every game, and as a result, that wasn't for a gank. Like you said, not looking for a gank, just that buff. Now they're looking for the gank here, that they're even lower health. Fortunately, a great Riptide gets them away.
Yeah, very hard to gank this lane, especially once they hit 5 right now. Still only level 3, but Riptides, stuns, healing from Gino on this Yemoja. Very hard to take Griff down on this ROM, especially with you consider that he has his own dash and a cripple on top of it. Grave's going to struggle to close that distance, I think. But his best opportunities are before 5. Before Griff has the opportunity to just say, okay, there's a gank coming, I'm going to go into the sky and ignore you for a little bit. I'd expect a little bit more aggression to that left side. Maybe not. He's all the way over on this right side now. Level 4 for the duos. Probably going to start focusing a little bit more over on Relentless One. Not your traditional solo laner. Assassin-based stats, easy target, despite the mobility. Already having fallen once, it's a good target for your jungle to look at.
I'll have to keep an eye whether or not that is something the Tyrian Weavers want to look at. For now, it's just that passive farming phase of getting everyone to 5, and several members are starting to hit that way. Tyrian Weavers first to do so, but even so, Short Fuse still needing that level 5, and just on a moment on Short Fuse here, that's Carapace Shard, right? That doesn't scream to me the super aggressive one here.
Well, it depends on who you're trying to target. If Short Fuse wants to kill Promise, which he should, it's an easy target, you can go ahead and pop that shard, taunt them into you. Next base attack not just steals protections, but also gets the passive bonus damage for having the poison applied as well. You're making your target a little bit squishier, and that applies to the squishy targets as well. If you decide you want to kill Hydrogen, okay, pop that, steal 30 procs from him. He doesn't have that many right now. You're pushing towards true damage on that. It can be a very aggressive tool in this early game.
That it can, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's either the 2 or the 1 has protection reduction as well for Circuit, so I guess it's almost that whoever I hit's gonna die kind of option here, and despite all of that, still only looking to just try and hard farm wherever they can. That's the second time Short Fuse has looked to strip away some farm in this side of the jungle. But even so, it's Tyrian Weavers who find themselves up gold. It looks like it's just because of that first blood bounty.
Yeah, up a little bit in gold, but Short Fuse is up in XP over Grave. That can be important, but Anvil of Dawn comes down.
No, that's not a great situation. Grave falls down to 100 HP or so. Tripno backed on away. Unfortunately, Grave just landing just shy on the ultimate. And the rest of the team from the Kaolin Wardens was there to back him up.
Blur, can you say beads, beads, beads? Grave pops them. Panda Cat has to pop them. Ultimate for ultimates over there. Good exchange in that mid lane, but ultimately, Wardens do feel a little bit better at the end of it. Short Fuse still looking to get aggressive. Keep an eye on Grave. He hasn't actually reset just yet. He's still in the jungle. Still at that yellow health bar. A little bit of dangerous positioning. But he did also see Short Fuse just hop over that wall. So he knows that Short Fuse isn't in the area to punish him. They're just looking to get a little bit more farm. Try to maintain the lead that they have. But it is shrinking over time. It's not the full 500. It's closer to 400 at this point. Both teams are content to play this one a little bit slow.
And I'm concerned if this goes slow, Kaolin Wardens run away with it. I've seen on SCC level what we can see if you put a team on ice and say just let's let it get to late game. This ROM, look at the build pathing here. Not going for the leaders. Instead, they're going for that ornate arrow kind of build, and that just screams to me, go to the late game.
ROM is definitely a hunter that you want reaching late game. as much as possible. Late game, his steroids are absolutely insane. Some of the best of any hunter, simply because not only is it crazy amounts of attack speed, but it also just pierces through targets. Not just targets, but also walls. You can shoot from safety, which is something that very few hunters have. I think Ishtar is about the only other one that actually gets that. Relentless one in the worst end of a trade over here. Grave, not able to find the stun. Wardens okay for now. But I just don't feel like this Ratatosker pick is really giving Relentless One the pressure that he was wanting.
Griff! Pulled on in by great work from Promise! But the DPS does end up halting. Griff goes down to about 20%. Meanwhile, with this big rotation coming on through from the rest of the Kaolin Wardens, this 1v2 turns into a 4v2. The Hydrogen just kind of goes, farewell, and stares as it happens. I mean, what was he going to do?
What he was going to do is pretty much exactly what he did. Just watch it go down, say, you know what? I appreciate you giving your life for me. Hydrogen, though.
He stuck around a bit too long. Short fuse, though.
No.
We'll have to body block some of this for Griff, who ends up at 1 HP. Hydrogen, though, was waiting for Grave to show on up. Grave turns it around. So this ends up as a 1-for-1. What is this game?
What is happening right now?
Spooky, this fight's gone on for so long that Promise has died and respawned.
They're still going!
Fuse walked himself into a wall and just about gets away thanks to ambush.
So, at the end of the day, Blur, when all is said and done, we get like a minute of fighting to 1-for-1. No one's the real winner here. I take it back. Weavers are the winners. Weavers end up taking that fight so long. The Promise respawns, Hydrogen's able to come back, and they have a little bit more pressure in this lane now. Promise already up in that lane, holding that wave. They're making the better end.
Tripno was under some big duress there. Great little play from Gino around the back, but unfortunately, Flicker... I mean, it's mini Blink. It's never not going to be a good option for them as Remakami goes on in for ulting to Relentless One, but with Short Fuse here, they time the ultimate beautifully, but whether or not there's any follow-up potential, doesn't look like it, and the dot damage from Last Breath is just not enough.
So close on so many of those, but Short Fuse misses both abilities, both the Cobra's Kiss and the Dash, and that's all Remakami needed in order to survive. If either one of those abilities hit, Guan Yu goes down. Easy peasy. No lemon squeezy. It's just done. Unfortunately, that's not how the cookie crumbled this time. So, Makami just resets, comes back to lane. Still looking pretty okay, because Grave is there holding the wave as well. No one has an advantage just yet, Blur. It's just this constant dance back and forth. Both teams vying for some kind of aggression, but every time a little bit of it is found, there's an answer back. Whether it's the Wardens finding a kill on the Promise, only to be collapsed on by Grave, or a good gank onto the right side, and Remakami just says, nah, see you later. Neither has been able to actually establish a foothold so far. Grave looking to change it on the right side. Be hard by himself, though.
Unfortunately so, but now Fire Giant is spawning. Hopefully we do not see any 15-minute Fire Giants, and I think the way these two teams are playing is what you said in picks and bans. The time for, the janky, funny, haha picks was game 2, but that's also the play style. There are no do-overs, there's no resets. You win this game, that is it, and both of these teams do not want to put the other in a position to win it. So, as it stands, we can see Tyrian Weavers looking for this Pyromancer. They pushed everyone out to start it out. Gino's here, has ult.
Yeah?
So far, they're just looking to push everyone off. Thor goes up. And so does the Ratatosker as well. They go down on into the back line, looking to try and isolate Panda Cat. But just look at how much damage Remakami takes.
He is gone. He's already a quarter health, and the fight keeps going.
Short Fuse picks up Remakami. The poison does not spread, but a great Riptide means that Promise might be in trouble. The stun as well. His health bar is chunked by Panda Cat, and this E-set damage. But not good enough for now. They will get back to the actual safety of Tier 1 tower. They pull Panda Cat back in, and they'll come away with a 1-for-1.
Promises just sat them down and said, all right, this is how it's done. He is landing hooks for days, pulling everybody back where he wants them. He got a little bit too aggressive there. Wanted to go for that kill. But you have to respect the displacement potential. But I've said it a million times. There is no better CC in this game, but displacement is the strongest thing you could possibly look for in a CC ability. Don't say death. I see it in your eyes.
We really do share the same brain cell. I was literally going to ask, what about death, but they can't do anything.
I knew you were. I knew it.
We know each other too well.
It's such a strong factor. And it feels like the Wardens aren't really giving it its due diligence. We saw it in game 2, where it was just Sylvanas pull, Herc pluck, Herc push. Right, someone's dead and there's nothing they could do about it. We're seeing the same thing to a lesser extent here. Promise is just pulling people into bad situations. And all it takes is a little bit more positioning. Put yourself behind your front line. Stand behind Gino. So if someone does get pulled, it's going to be the Yamoja instead of you.
Even so, I don't think the Yamoja lives that one either, but you mentioned on that side, Promise has that option to push everyone and displace one. Gino has the same option, and we've seen some great riptides, but it's almost acting more like a wall of you can't walk here than pulling members back in.
Yeah, it's a distinct difference between the riptide and the pull. When you're riptiding someone back, you're cutting off a retreat path. They can still look for something else. They can look to try to use their dash if they are, Circat. Their leap, I should say. Mm-hmm. When you're Promise, you're not cutting off a retreat path. You're pulling them into your team where they are waiting to just dump their kits onto you and make sure you explode like this.
Well, may very well happen. Panicat falls very low, and Tripno finds enough damage thanks to the slow. But Ogriff's made the rotation. Tripno ends up falling. The wall is huge. The Phantom Shell finally comes on through, but with a big ult coming down, Short Fuse is the one who finds the kill onto Hydrogen. That's a lot of DPS gone, and now they're just looking to try and resustain because Relentless One and Remakami are back on in.
2-for-1 favors the Wardens here. Lots of ultimates used. A lot of bursts used on the initial portion of that fight. Yeah, they got Panda Cat. But you're using Kern ult, and you're going in with Graves ult, the Anvil of Dawn. Not leaving a whole lot for the fight after the fact. Gino just came in clutch with that River's Rebuke. Completely cut Remakami and Hydrogen off. Gino?
The wall just not quite good enough. Slightly off the mark this time, but keep in mind, we are 14 minutes into this game. I was expecting that big fight to potentially going on through for a Gold Fury here, but instead, Kaolin Wardens, is that a little too safe play here?
I think they could have pushed it a little bit further, but at the same time, they had their ultimates down, Pandacat was still respawning, and the big one, Grave, was still alive. You also have to consider how low Remakami's cooldowns actually are. You look at the base cooldown, and you're like, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. 90 seconds, yeah. It's not 90 seconds. Every time he heals his team, 2 seconds off the cooldown. Every time he dashes through an enemy, 2 seconds off the cooldown. Cavalry Charge comes up so much faster than any other ultimate in the game, except for maybe like a Merlin ult with CDR, but that doesn't really count. Yeah. So playing it safe when you don't have a lead is the right call. Don't try to push anything until you know where the enemy is at. Like right here.
Nice call. Very nice call there. They recognize that members are around by Pyromancer. Short Fuse likely calling that one out. Remakami was off pushing down this tier 1 in the right-hand side, and so, as you said, it's Gold Fury for Pyromancer, and it's the first start of a lead here for the Kaolin Wardens. They're just going to get aggressive, but wait, hang on. Tyrian Weavers don't actually have the Pyromancer. They're actually looking for a fight around it instead.
They're trying to fight Gino. Relentless One gets caught here, though. Might be in a bad spot.
Very bad spot indeed. Great stun, though, from Pandacat. Shuts down Remakami, who does not feel comfortable enough diving under the tower, but that is still a TKO onto Relentless One. So everyone from Tyrian Weavers is back towards this Pyromancer. Keep in mind, a lot of this damage is going to end up onto Gino. But for now, it's just about seeing if they can get a pick. If not, they've still got enough damage. But Short Fuse is here, and Tyrian Weavers have this Fury, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take the fight. Thor goes up, Tripno goes down immediately thanks to Short Fuse, and it's a full-on turn, tail, and run from the Weavers. And I'm concerned because there are 4 members of Fire Giant, and Kaolin Wardens know it.
Oh boy, they're going right to it here. Griff on the way as well. They've got their Shred here now. He's got Chin Size and Executioner. Keep an eye on the Weavers, though. They're on their way in.
They recognized it. Ramakami goes on in aggressive, but now look at this Panda Cat ult, and that ult is uncontestable. Kaolin Wardens get themselves the Fire Giant they wanted from game 2, and like you said, they're still trying to run down a fight. Promise looks to be the first target. Ramakami trying to push everyone away, but the displacement is too good.
Ramakami gets taken down as well. The Riptides are so strong.
Griff, very aggressive here, looking to fight Grave. Will expend the Aegis to keep themselves alive, but the rest of the team now starting to recognize, hey, let's not do something stupid like throw our life away to the tower, Relentless One.
He's back there. He's got a Yamoja here. How can he die? He's got Yamoja.
Yamoja's got Naomi!
If Relentless One dies, it's because Yamoja was trolling and didn't heal him. And that's the solo layer mentality.
Mate, how much healing do you think Yamoja passive does? It's like 10.
Enough
at level
is
20.
what it does. It should be doing enough to keep me alive in all situations, regardless of how much damage I am taking. That's why I have a support blur.
You are the reason why you and that mentality are the reason why support players hate playing support for randoms. I'm just going to put that out there, but you can see that on Mending Wonders.
I only play my pre-mates.
Oh, even worse. Even worse. I've seen what you get up to with your pre-made lot. It ain't a pretty sight. It ain't a pretty sight, but talking about not a pretty sight here, Tyrian Weavers, you can see the pings out on the maps from Kaolin's. They've got a checklist across the map they want to go for. They might be changing that up if they can find some picks here. Kaolin Wardens are pushing everyone out from this left or this right side tier 2.
Weavers, bit of an admirable defense, but truthfully, the Wardens kind of did everything they wanted there. They just forced the Weavers to use ultimates defensively and retreat from that tier 2 tower. Hydrogen splits the map very effectively, about the most that they can hope for right now. Mitigates the loss a little bit, with the fall of a tier 1 as well. The Wardens are extending their gold lead. Fury coming up as well. Relentless One holding up that left side wave, and expect to see some pressure put towards that tower as well. The Wardens can get a clean sweep. Lucky.
Very much so. I think they were caught right in the middle of it, and it just happened to shunt them out. Just a good look for them. So Ramakami will be able to live another day. However, seeing what they're seeing on the map, left side being pushed up, and Griff is just hammering away at this Fury. That one's going to go down as Hydrogen's trying to keep split pushing this map.
I like the idea, but they're going to have to back up because the Wardens have the fires. They've got the damage. Oh, Griff!
Griff is in a lot of trouble. Heal and support from Panda Cat here helps them out. Meanwhile, the main healer in Not Gino is off keeping eyes on Hydrogen, stopping them from backing. And so that will end up being, for the most part, the siege is dealt with. Fire Giant is gone, and all things considered, Kaolin Warden find themselves up 4,000 gold. Do Tyrian Weavers have a need to contest this next Fire Giant, or what's their sort of game plan here?
I think they absolutely should be contesting it. They are not far enough down that they have to give anything up for free here. The fact that the Wardens took that Fire Giant and only 4,000 gold up is a testament to how well the Weavers split the map during those entire sieges. 2 towers on the left side, a tower in mid. Wardens really weren't able to extend their lead by very much at all. You can see where it was kind of bouncing up and down on the graph there. This is still very much contestable. The Weavers have a good team comp. They've got good area damage. Tripno, level 18, is outputting a lot. Hydrogen with the crit as well. Some damage to be had. The question is, how well can the Weavers get onto that backline? They have the tools for it in Grave and Ramakami, but they have to get the River's Rebuke out first. They cannot try to dive into the Yamoja ultimate, because it's simply not going to go well. It will just split the entire fight up. Bait it out, and then commit afterwards. That's the key for the Weavers here.
Let's see whether or not they know how to use these tools effectively. Griff trying to just bait someone in with the sound of the basics for now. Keep an eye on Graves' ultimate. That's the best way they've got to go over the top. But as it stands, Kaolin Wardens just want to go ahead and patiently bait people in. Thor's up. Let's see where he lands.
Right out. Oh, man.
Beautiful. Exactly like you said, you want to get out the big ults like the River's Rebuke. Same thing on the other side. And as a result, Grave goes down to Griff. Gino finds Hydrogen. And with the two big damage dealers gone, Tripno's in trouble because Short Fuse is found around the back. They'll go ahead and pull everyone's ire, meaning Panda Cat's ult hits big damage onto this front line. And Promise is left high and dry. The displacement is just too good.
I mean, Promise was definitely left alone, but certainly was not dry with all the water blocking his path on that one. Really, you'd think he'd do better with that, being a tree and all, but unfortunately not the way it works.
It's unfortunate there's no Kuzubo in this game, because that certainly was a watery grave here, but Fire Giant here will dry off the rest of the Kaolin Wardens here and ignite their chances for some big sieges. They're up 7,000 gold here. Is this just Phoenix focuses right now?
They're definitely in a position where they can go for this Phoenix. They may want to wait for their ultimates to come back up. Now, granted, Weavers also have all their ults down as well, but when you're looking in these narrow passages around these Phoenixes, your ultimates become a lot more important. Gino's being down specifically, I think, cuts off a lot of their potential aggression. Not on that map, though, because Short Fuse is splitting it, taking down that mid-tier 2. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go for the left side as well, but over here it's going.
It's going big for now, just a little bit more of a poke. Into the backline goes Relentless One, and that's bought Short Fuse a lot of time, but unfortunately, not enough to be able to push down the Phoenix by themselves. So Phoenix holds for now, and Tripno's got a lot of work ahead of them to clear out these waves.
Tripno has some work cut out for him, but he's got the tools for it. Merlin, probably one of the best mages you could have on a Phoenix defense. The clear, insanely good. The area control, very good. Might not have the highest burst damage in the game, but when you can still take out half of someone's health bar with 2 abilities and then watch it keep on ticking down, you're in a pretty good position there. It's very good. Now the question is, where do the Wardens go next? My mind goes to this left side. They've got an Oni Fury spawned in. They've got a tier 2 on that left side as well. This is where the Wardens can really go to break this game open for themselves. They're in a leading position, but they want to utilize these Oni minions.
And the Oni Fury, I love this call for Oni minions. We saw on the right-hand side how quickly Tripno deals with the minions. Now deal with the tanky ones. We are seeing, again, Hydrogen looking to try and very pretty Prime-esque kind of situation. I'm behind, let me split push and get as much farm as I can to be a threat. So they will go ahead, grab as much damage as they can, but they're on a ward and available now. So look at Kaolin Wardens.
And Wardens are just going to go ahead and push down this left side. Relentless One's not going to let him back.
Not gonna let him go. It's a 1v1 of a tank versus a hunter. The matchup everyone thinks should go to the person you like most. But unfortunately, hunters are not good enough. Crit needs more buffs.
Hey, stop it!
The Relentless One wins it.
What are you doing, Blur? What is this propaganda?
I'm getting lambasted by absolutely everyone here. But
there's a fight. There's a fight.
That's how the game goes. That's how the cookie falls and crumbles. As the rest of Tyrian Weavers are crumbling now, Griff picks up Ramakami, Short Fuse, finds Promise, and all that time, Relentless Ones made their way on through here. Tyrian Weavers, they only need the one Phoenix, because there's only 2 members left, and they're going for this Titan. Their DPS is good, and it may be good enough. Tripno, though, needs to start putting out some damage. They've reset the Titan again. Griff, it just doesn't want to hit the Titan. Griff, hit the Titan, please, and you'll win the game. Kaolin Wardens, you will win the game. Just hit the Titan and end it in 26 minutes. 2-1 for the Kaolin Wardens.
This close to losing Griff and ending that push. Tripno
Oh boy.
put it out as much damage as he could, but in the end, it was not enough. The heal from Panda Cat's ultimate at the end there is what really drove that nail in the coffin. The fact that they were able to just walk in with 4 out of 5 people almost full health. Relentless one not able to get into the heal in time. 2 people just can't hold off that kind of siege. There's just not enough damage in those 2 to take down 5 health bars like that. Well played from the Wardens. Reestablished their play style from game 1. It was all about the map control. They executed it pretty much perfectly.
It was incredibly well done. And I do need to point out, I feel like I have to have this said before I get pitchforks and torches thrown at me. That was a joke.
They're being thrown already.
Nerfed. I love the fact the Relentless one won that fight because it was the perfect position. They did it with not Gino the first time and Relentless one the second time. Hydrogen needed to be in their fights and they just couldn't be. There is no point in getting to level 20 if you are not there for the team fights.
I don't know if I would say that he couldn't be. It's more that he simply chose not to be consistently. He was making an active decision to be on the other side of the map. And I grant you, the first couple times, that was the right call. Splitting that map up and removing the effectiveness of that first Fire Giant, great play. Fantastic. That second Fire Giant, though, that one's a little bit more significant. That one has potential to break the base. And if you have a broken base and no one there to defend or a numbers disadvantage on defense, Titan starts looking a lot more appealing. And in the end, Wardens went ahead and they said, we'll go ahead and take that chance. We'll pull that
win rate. They're looking at it's better than a 25%. It's better than a 25% to the Tyrian Weaver to be, but with end day one here of thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being here. Shit, so take care.